You can see my screen, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And if you remember, we have already covered this action filters, right? These filters, right?
Yes, sir.
Filter, highlight, go to your, go to sheet. Maybe these two we haven't, because today I will cover parameters, then we will cover this change parameter, then I will cover sets, then we'll cover change set value. So these two have a dependency on few topics before these are covered. Other than that, these four have been covered, which are part of your dashboard action filters or worksheet action filter. Normally these action filters are applied on the dashboard, not at a sheet level. I went to this worksheet because I am in the sheet level, so this actions is highlighted. Otherwise, if you go to dashboard here, it will be grayed out because I am on the sheet. The moment you go to a dashboard, go to dashboard action, you will see that all these action filters, it will be available. So normally these action filters are set on the dashboard, not on the sheet level. Okay. So we will cover the parameters first. What are parameters? Parameters are nothing but it takes a user input. Okay, it takes a user input, and then we use that user input in our calculation so that we can give results dynamically. Okay, that is the simplest definition of a parameter. It takes a user input, we use that input value in our calculation, then we show the user in the desired result based on whatever users do. Okay, so let's first see how a parameter looks like and how we can create a parameter. Okay, let's say I want to show the simple example, whatever we have covered, like in the filters while covering filters. If you remember, we have covered how to find out top 10, bottom 10, all those things, right? So in that case also, we can make it dynamic. Let me first drag and drop customer name, 2 rows. And let me drag and drop sales. So I can, you see, the moment I put in into the text, it gave me the text, but if I put it into columns, it will give me the bars. Okay, these are my bars. Okay, let me sort it highest to lowest. Now I want to find out the top 10 customer name. How do I do it? Who can tell me? I want to show the top 10 customers by sales. How do I show it? Any idea? I just want to show top 10. Maybe these. What I will do is I'll put customer name to filter. I'll go to top 10 by sales. Okay. I'm showing top 10 customers by sales. Okay, this is my top 10. But let's say we want to make it dynamic. We want the user to decide whether they want to see top 5, top 10, top 15, top 20. So it's based on user's discretion, we will show that. So in that case, by default, it will not happen because it is static, whatever we have done here. But we can make it dynamic by using a parameter. So this is the simplest use case of a parameter. So to do that, let's first create a parameter. I can create the parameter in 2 ways. I can go to this drop down, I can create a parameter here directly. So if I create the parameter, so it will give me a dialog box, create parameter. Let me give a name to it. Let's say I'll call it top N customers. Okay. And data type. So I want to use, in this case, it is a number. Okay. Integer value. Let's say by default, I will say 10. Okay. This is my current value. And let's go ahead with the other setup. Allowable values all, display format automatic, that's fine. Let's go ahead with this. Now let's say I created a parameter. Now you see, if you create any parameter, it will come here. It will show up in the parameter section. Now let me display that parameter. So to do that, click on the drop down, show parameter. Now the parameter will come here. Now let's say if I do 5, nothing is happening. Now let's say if I do 20, nothing is happening, because these parameters by themselves, they do not do anything until and unless they are used in some sort of calculations or in some or the other way. So we need to link it this parameter to this filter, because that's where we are controlling this top 10. So what I will do here is I'll go to this edit filter option. Now you see this top 10, instead of this, I should use this value, this parameter. So if you click on the drop down, you see there are already the parameters that are available. What we created now is the top 10, top N custom. So that top N is available. Now this is dynamically capturing. So now the value is what? Top 20. Top 20 what? Top 10, 20 customer name by sum of sales. This is how you should read. Okay, so you can directly create a parameter from here also, create new parameter. You will get the same dialog box, whatever I got while creating that parameter. Any questions so far? All right. So you see now the moment I said 20, now let's say I'll say 5. Now you see, now it's dynamically changing. Now let's say I'll say 7. Okay. Now this, we have used this parameter in this filter as a parameter, which is now dynamic. So this is a simple use case of a parameter. Okay. Now let's move ahead. Now let me just delete this. Okay. Now similarly, this one, right? You can change it to bottom. It will give you bottom, like what are the bottom customers, right? Bottom 5, bottom 10, anything can be changed. Okay. All right. Now I'll go to another sheet. Now let's say, I'll go to my products and I'll put subcategory into rows. And let's say this time I'll bring quantity. Let me sort it. Okay. So make it an entire view this time so that we can get a better view. Okay. Now I have my quantities by subcategory. Let me show the labels. So you can show the labels from here, or you can click on this. Okay. Anything that works for you, do it. Okay. Now these are my quantities. Let's say, now we know how to create a parameter, right? Let's say what in this scenario, what we want to show is, now the user says any subcategory that is sold more than 3,000 quantities are the best performing subcategories. Okay. So now they want, what they want is they want some sort of a line or a mark that will tell them what is that reference line, what is that reference point, right? So beyond which, whatever products are selling more than that particular point, 3,000, let's say, they are good products. Otherwise, they are not so good products. Let's say we want to do that. How do we do that? Again, we need to create a parameter. Create not a calculated field, create a parameter. This time again, it is quantity, it's again quantity, or let's say I would say let's say quantity input or something, input quantity, something like that. Okay. Now let's make it an integer, and current value, let's say make it 3,000, because that's the minimum requirement we have. I'll say okay. Now this is the parameter. Now again, parameters by themselves, they don't do anything. We need to use them somewhere. So now I want a reference line, as I said. So to add a reference line, there are two ways. Okay, I can right click on it and add a reference line. Let's do that first. Now you will get this option. Okay, now what I want is, I want to use this input quantity. So in the value section, I will go to this input quantity and I'll select that. You see, it must be coming already. But I'll make it a little dashed line instead of a solid line. Okay, now that is my, I can give a color. Okay. Okay, now this is my reference line. Let's say if I change it 3,500. Now the line is moving. Let's say I'll say 5,000. Now I'm changing that line as per my wish. Now any product by default, if more than 3,000, it's a good product. If not, not so good product. Now user says, okay, you gave me the reference line, that's fine, but can you highlight these products? Okay, can you highlight these products like good versus bad, something like that? So in that case, it will not happen dynamically. We will have to use this value, whatever the user is inputting, in a calculated field. Then we'll use that in color so that we can identify good versus not so good products. But to do that, let me create a calculated field. Let's say I will say good versus this, let's say good versus bad for now. And what would be my calculation? I will use this input quantity, let's say sum of quantity, because that is my subcategory quantity that we are showing. So that I have to use first. Sum of quantity is greater than or equal to, let's say, this input quantity. I'll start typing input quantity and it will come up. You see, these fields are always in orange color. When you're writing a calculated field, parameters are always in purple color. Okay, now you see when I clicked on it, it shows the current value. Whatever current value is being typed in there, it will show that value. Now let me say, okay, now let's put it into color. You see, now just need to adjust the color a little bit. Edit color. Let's say trues. I'll make something like, okay, and the false, I'll make it little gray color. Okay, now these products are good products and these are not so good products. And let's say if I make it to 5,000, okay, based on whatever I'm using, based on that it is changing. So I can say, okay, all these products are below this quantity, input quantity, whatever user has input. So accordingly, I'm getting my desired result. This is another use case of a parameter. Okay. Any questions? All right. All right. Yeah.
Sir, can you go to the second sheet? Sir, if it is decimal, like you should take float, right?
Yes.
Because this is the value, that's why you have taken integer.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. And how to explain this in interview, sir?
No, you don't have to explain. They will give you a scenario. I have this problem. How do I do it? So you need to think of like whether what will make sense, right? So many things are there. Based on that, okay, if it is a parameter use case, so we'll cover many scenarios. Okay, so you will get more idea once we go ahead.
Okay, sir.
So how to remove the line? Very easy. Right click and remove. Is that your question?
No, sir. That's okay.
No, somebody asked a question. How to remove the line? How to remove the line? If that is the question. Okay, so yeah, you can right click on it or you can right click on the axis and remove reference line. So if there are multiple reference line, it will give you more options like which one you want to remove. So you can do that. All right. Now let's say we'll get into one more scenario. There's so many, when parameter we can talk the whole day. So many, you can think of anything. Okay, let's say let's say I have something like this. All right, I have a region and let's say I have sales. Okay, I'll say by region sales. And also let's say okay, now you see there is a so basically user is saying give me an option. Let's say you have this kind of sort of a chart, region sales. Let me duplicate this and I'll make it, let's say by state. Wait, people are joining. Okay, this is region. Let me put it state here. Sorted. Okay, and state sales. And also I will have something called subcategory. Let's say subcategory. Subcat sales. Okay, let's say we have these three things. And let's say I'll just simply create a simple chart. Okay, so this is a simple chart I have created. Don't go by the look and feel of it. But the user says, I do not need all these three different charts. Okay. But I need an option where if I just select state, one chart will show me the same chart. I should be able to see by state sales, by region sales, by subcategory sales. I don't need all these three charts because we are showing sales information for everything, but and it is displaying, it is taking a lot of space which we can otherwise use for something else, right? Let's the user says that he says only in one chart give me an option where I can whether I want to see it by state or by region or by subcategory. If that's the requirement, how do we do it? So again, you use a parameter. Let's create a parameter this time. Create. You got the scenario, right? What I want to do. If not, ask me again what I'm trying to do.
Sir, can you repeat the scenario again?
So basically, see, I have created three charts: by region sales, by state sales, by subcategory sales. Okay. Now, and I have created a dashboard, and in that dashboard, I'm showing all the three charts. But the user says, I don't want three different charts for this. I have so many other information to show in the dashboard. Can we use only one chart? Okay, the same state chart or any chart, any of these charts, and give me an option where I will select whether I want to see the sales by state or by region or by subcategory. Okay. I don't want to create three different charts, but in one chart, I want to do that, but you need to give me that flexibility. Okay. So that is a requirement. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So in that case also, we'll use a parameter, create parameter. And this time, let's say I'll go with a string and I'll go with a list. Okay. And I'll call it select whatever dimension the user want to select. And first one, let's say I'll call it a region, display is region, state, display is state, and there is something called subcategory. Display is subcategory. Okay, you can change how the values are and what the display could be. Okay, so let's say these are my three values. Okay, I select OK. Now go and do a show parameter. Now I have a parameter that has these three values: region, state, and subcategory. But right now nothing is happening because, as I have said, parameters themselves, they do not do anything. So what I will do here is I will use a calculated field, and based on whatever value they select from this parameter, we will show that dimension here. So I'll create a calculated field and I'll call it selected dimension, something like that. And I'll say I'll use a case statement, case select dim when it is region, right? Then I'll use the field region. Okay. When state, then I'll use state column. When it is subcategory, make sure you are typing the values correctly. Whatever you have, the value should be the same that you have defined while creating that parameter. Otherwise, you will not get the result. Then I will use subcategory end. Okay, now I have created a calculated field. Now let's see if I select them. You see the current value is region because I have selected. Now if I select state and I select here, now the value changing to state. Now if I click on subcategory and I'll click here, now you see the value is subcategory. Okay, now it is changing and it is fine because this is the parameter directly I'm using here. Whatever value I'm changing, it is capturing that, and based on that, it is checking these when conditions. Whatever is true, it will take that field. Okay. Now what I will do here is instead of this field, right, I will take it out and I will use that selected dimension, whatever I have used. Now you see I have used subcategory. Now I will see the subcategories. Sorted. Now if I select state, I will see the state. Now if I select a region, I will see the regions. Okay. One sheet we can achieve all. Now what I can do here is I will see I want to delete this. I cannot see a delete option because these sheets are used in the dashboard. So let me remove this. Let me remove this. And I have used a parameter on this, right? So what I will do here is I will bring in the parameter here, parameter, and that is my select dim. That is my parameter, right? And I'll go here and let's give it. Now let's say if I click on state, now it is changing. Now you see that same chart, I'm able to use different dimensions based on the user input, right? Instead of showing 3 different chart, I use that in the same thing. Now you can do the similar thing for your sales. Let's say user says, I don't want to see only sales. Give me an option. I can use whether sales or profit or quantity. Same way, what I've created, right? Select them. I will create one more parameter. And I'll call it selected select measure. And let me go with string and list. Let's say I'll say sales, profit, and let's say quantity. So 3 values for now. So parameter control. Like this. Now nothing will happen as usual because we have to use in a calculated field for it to come into effect. Now I'll say selected measure. Again a case statement, case select measure when sales, then I'll use the sales field, when profit, then I'll use profit, when what is the other one? Quantity. Then quantity. And now say okay. Now what I will do here is instead of this sales, I will use this. Now selected measure. Now if I select profit, I'm seeing the profit. Now if I select quantity, I'll see the quantity. Okay. Now let's say we want to show there is something called profit ratio also. Okay, we want to show the profit ratio also. The user says, I'll go to this edit parameter and I'll add one more value. Even after you created a parameter, you can still edit. There is no problem. That's I'll say profit ratio. I'm adding one more and I'll say profit ratio. Okay, and say okay. Now, if you select profit ratio, nothing will happen because it doesn't meet any of the criteria. So it is giving a null value. So what I will do here is I'll go to my selected measure. Selected measure, edit, and here I will say when profit ratio. I'm putting in a single quote because these are the values, right? And then I will call it profit ratio. There is a field called profit ratio. Now you see it will give me an error. Okay. Now if I click on this, can somebody read this error?
Cannot mix aggregate and non-aggregate comparison or resulting case expression.
Yes. The reason is profit ratio, right? It is an aggregated value. You see, when I click on this, it is a calculated field. Let's say if I go to profit ratio, this is the profit. This is a calculated field. How do you know? There is an equal to symbol before it. What is the formula is used? Sum of profit divided by sum of sales. So this is an aggregated field, but these are not aggregated fields. These are just sales, profit, quantity. But when we drag and drop, that automatic aggregation happens. And you will encounter this problem all the time in Tableau. So you need to ensure that all the fields are either aggregated or non-aggregated. So in this case, what I will do here is I will put all the other fields into aggregations. Sum of sales, sum of profit, I will say sum of quantity. Now see the calculation is valid because all the things that I am using, the output of this calculated field is basically matching the aggregation or non-aggregation, whatever it is used. Now the moment I click OK, it will become red because it will break, because now the aggregation has changed. Earlier it was a non-aggregated field when I dragged and dropped, but what is happening right now, it is already an aggregated and there is a sum used, so it is not liking it. Now if I put it here, you see instead of sum there is a AGG already coming. So that means Tableau is telling that the field that you're using, it is already an aggregated. So you cannot use that sum, min, max, all those things will not be possible because already aggregated. Now that is fine because that's what we need. And now I can change my dimensions. I can give user whatever they want, some by the region, state, subcategory, or whatever measure they want to slice and dice with. They can see everything here now. We can make this title also more dynamic. So I can call it displaying let's say selected dim by this. So if I click on apply, so right now selected dim. Okay, no, I should use that select dim, not the selected dim. I should use the parameter so that I'll get the right value. Displaying profit ratio by region. Probably I can make it little better. It can make it bold. These things. Always put little bit of effort in your titles, tooltips, right? This is a default tooltip now, right? This is a default tooltip what I'm showing, right? But you should make some effort to make it much cleaner. It should go to this because now nobody wants to see the default ones unless you put some effort, right? Something like that. I mean, you need to make it better. And you see this now, this is also dynamic. See, displaying profit by region or displaying profit by state. A lot of ways you can do. Any questions, guys? Let me save this first.
So can we give color to them also? Like if we select sales, then it will give the different color.
Yeah, you can. What is date today? 23rd. Yeah, you can give color also. Let's say if it is state, I'll go to this select dim, right? State, right? Let's state with this color. Now I'll go to region. Now automatically it will change. Now once you have put it, you can give a different color, whatever you wish. But thing is, you need to go and individually do it by selecting each and every thing. Okay. Is that your question?
Yes, yes, sir.
Okay. All right. So this is one more use case of a parameter. Now let's say, we'll go here. Let's say, for example, just a simple scenario I'm giving. In case you cannot use this kind of thing, right? Whether you want to show by sales, profit, something like that. Let's say there is a simple scenario we'll create. Let's say I'm showing the subcategory and sales. Okay. And let me turn on the labels. Okay, I have my subcategory by sales. Also, user wants an option whether they want to see it by sales amount or by percentage. Okay. Now, sales is the only field, but they want to see it by absolute value or they want to see it by percentage. So in that case, we cannot use whatever we did here, right? So what I will do here in this case, let's say subcat sales values, I will say, and the other is, I mean, there are different ways, but I'm just giving you a scenario and which will help you to think if a certain scenario comes, what are the different possibilities. So I'll say percent. So basically, in this, I will change it to a quick table calculation and I'll say percent of total. Okay. Now this is my sales absolute values and this is my percentage values. Just a hypothetical scenario. Now user wants an option whether they want to see it by sales or by percent. Okay, so we will create a parameter. Let's say sales, or let's say show by, and I will give it again, let's say a string list, and let's say I'll say sales, or you can say percent. Okay, something like that. And this is the parameter I created, sales or percentage. Okay. So now what I will do here is, now nothing will happen because again, it is not being used anywhere. Show parameter, let me do that. Okay, it's not used anywhere. So at the dashboard level, let me create one more, and I'll say, let's say show by, and let me just reduce this size a little bit because I don't need this much space. So I have two things now. One is the absolute values and other is basically sales values. So either one they will see at any point. If they select sales, they would see this. If they select percentage, they would see by percentage. So in this case, what should we do? In this case, what should we do? We created this parameter, right? Edit parameter. So I will do certain changes to this. Okay. Instead of, see, I can, okay, let me show you two ways. Okay, let's say now I have selected what sales, right? What I'll do here is I'll create a calculated field and I'll say show by. Normally what we do, if anything is a calculated, we put a calc underscore before that. So all the calculations will be there at one place in your Tableau. It's just a best practice for you. So, and I will say if or let's say case show by when sales, then I'll say 1 when what is the other one, percent, then 2 end. Okay, just simple calculation I created. Now what I will do here is I will use this, let me make it discrete. Apply. Okay, now you see that is becoming a string. Now I'll put it here. Now you see it is sales. Now I will click OK. Now you see show by sales. Now the moment I click on percent, it will become blank. The reason is I have told Tableau to give me 2 when I select percentage, but in the filter I have selected 1. That's why it is not meeting the criteria because 2 is not equal to 1. That's why it is false. So this sheet became blank. Now I'll go to the other sheet and here I will use 2 because the value will be 2 now. Only one value will be present. Now I'll do that. Now if the moment I click on sales, this sheet will become blank and this sheet will appear. Now what I will do here is in the dashboard, you see one is getting blank and one is anytime is getting populated. So in this scenario, what I'll do here, I'll just remove this for now and I will just bring in a floating vertical container. Okay, vertical container, so that I will place one item below the other. Now I will use these 2 sheets that I have used here. This is one values and one percentage. Drag and drop. You see, hold down shift to drop floating object. So I'll press shift and leave by mouse click. Okay, now 1. Same thing I'll do for other. So I'll just put it below this one. Now the one thing I can do here is at least I should remove the title from here and I should keep the title on the top so that user should not feel that there is something at the bottom. They should not feel that it is coming from 2 different sheets, or there should not be any user experience from a user experience point of view. There should not be any problem. So what I'll do, I'll hide this. Now user doesn't know what is happening. User says, okay, I have selected sales. I'm getting sales. Now the user clicks on percentage. Now they are seeing percentage. Okay, now this is how it is working. In case you are not able to use any calculated field the way we did before, this is one more way where you can show and hide based on the parameter. This is called sheet swapping. This is called sheet swapping in using parameter. This is called sheet swapping. Okay. You might get some interview question, and in real time, 100% you will use it. 100%. There will be a lot of scenarios where you will use it. Okay. Any questions? This is one more use case of a parameter.
Why you have used string? You would have used floating value, right? In the beginning.
Which one? This parameter? This one?
Here, data type.
See, it depends what you're using. Okay, so in the values, I have put sales and percent. These are values, these are absolute string values, right?
Okay. Okay,
That's
values
why
on the basis of values. I thought on the basis of,
what field you're displaying.
Okay.
No, it's not on what field you're displaying, based on what value we have put. See, I can change it to integer and make it 1 and 2. That is also fine.
Okay. On the basis of value, I thought because it is showing 5.00%, that is what I thought data type should be floating. Okay. Fine.
Yeah, not related to that, because I'm not controlling these data points based on what I'm showing here.
Oh, you are controlling values.
Yeah, so I can change it to 1 and 2 here. So if I put 1 and if I put 2, what will happen? You see, it will not like it. See, it is not liking it. You see, it is becoming 1 and 2, but I can change it. So in this case, probably I need to go here and change it to integer.
Okay.
Right?
Got it.
So it depends how you use it. And whatever we did just now, the same thing can be done. So there is another data type called Boolean. You see this Boolean. So this will basically a true and false kind of thing. Okay. So let's say I'll not do any changes to this. So what I will do, I'll just duplicate these two sheets. Okay. Duplicate these two sheets, and I will bring these two at the end. Okay, I just brought them to the end. Okay, and the parameter that I use show by, I will not use this parameter. I will create one more parameter, and we will use the data type called Boolean and how it works. Right. So let's say I'll create one more parameter. Same scenario, same thing we will use, but using a different data type parameter. Okay. Now we use the string parameter. Okay. Now what I'll do here is, now I'll create a parameter, and this time I'll call it show by, and I'll go to, let's say, Boolean one. I'll create a Boolean. The moment you create Boolean, you see that aliases comes true, false. Okay, let's say I'll say sales and profit. So that means basically, percent. So basically I'm saying if it is true, I'm saying it should be sales. If it is false, it should be percent. Okay, just see how it works. Now this value show parameter. Now this is what it is. Now if I select sales, what is the value? If I select sales, the value will be true. If I select percent, the value will be false. Now what I will use is show by all right. Now here what I will do is show by both. I'll just use that. By default, it will give me true and false based on what I'm. Now it is current value sales. That's fine. And if I select this and if I click on this, it's false. Now it is a percent. So I will say OK. And I'll put it here. Now a false will come up because I have selected percent. Now select OK. Say OK. Now I'll go to this one. And again, I will bring up that parameter. And let me make it this thing. And let's say if I just bring it here, it will be false because percent is selected. Now I will change it to sales. Now it would have changed it to true. Now I'll put it true. Instead of writing a case-bench statement, I just created a Boolean parameter, and I just use that Boolean parameter into that calculated field. So based on what you select, it gives me true or false. Now the same thing will work. You see, if I make it percent, it becomes blank. And if I make it sales, it will come up. Similarly, here if you go, it will be blank because it is true. But sales we have percent, we have said it will only appear when it is false. So it will come up false. Now let me reduce this so that you will see what values is changing. You see this false now. Now if I change it sales, and we have manually selected false, so it will not show up. If you go here, and that true value will be there. So I don't want to do anything. So this is how you can create a Boolean also. But always remember, when the performance improvement questions are there in the interview, they will definitely ask you what works fast. So definitely your numbers will work. I mean, the Booleans will work much faster than numbers, than string, like that. Okay. Booleans are always fast compared to, because it has only two values to work with, true and false. Number has a finite list of like 0 to 9, right? String, I mean, it can be infinite, can be anything. So strings take more time compared to your numbers, and numbers take more time compared to Booleans. So if you get a chance, always try to convert your calculation to Boolean. If not possible, to number. If not possible, last option is string or date. Anything is fine. So this one more use case of a parameter. Any questions, guys? All right. All right. Now, so you got decent idea about what is a parameter now. Now in the actions, there is something called, what we saw is change parameter. Now what this is? Now this is introduced quite late in Tableau. I think in the 2019.2 version, it was introduced quite late. So it is again a very, very useful feature. Based on that, you can do a lot of things. Let's go to the first example. This example. Okay. Now what we did is basically user have to come here and they have to type a value. Then only we were showing what is good, what is bad based on that reference line. Now with that change parameter, the worksheet actions that I showed you, user can literally, this change parameter, using this, user can literally click on something and we will be able to capture that whatever. If I click on this, what is the quantity? 3000. We can capture that using that change parameter action, and the value will be populated, and based on that color coding will change based on everything, based on user selection. Let's see how that works. Let me just duplicate this sheet and I'll take it to the end. All right, now let's say I will remove all these things for now. Okay, and also this. Okay, now I will create a parameter. So initially we created a parameter. Okay, let me bring that in. That parameter, let it be there. Control Z. Oops. There is the input quantity, right? Show parameter control. Okay, now I'll remove these reference lines and this color coding. Now it is a simple bar chart subcategory. We're showing quantity by subcategory. Now what I want is, I want to make it dynamic based on whatever user inputs, user selects, right? That will be the benchmark. User don't have to go and type, but we will control whatever the user's actions. From the user actions, we will control. How do we do it? That will happen only based on this parameter action. Let's say we'll set up a parameter action so that we will change this value. Okay, and based on that changing value, we will show what is the we'll change the reference line. Okay, now what I will do here is I'll just bring in that reference line, add reference line, input quantity, and let it be there for now so that you will be able to see. Okay, now this input parameter, this reference line is taking value from this parameter. Now let's say I will use that change parameter action. Very, very user friendly option. Change parameter. Now it is asking you, so you need to set it up first. It is asking few options. What is my source sheet? This is my source sheet, sheet 2.2. And what is my target parameter? This is my target parameter, input quantity. What is my source field? Sum of quantity is my source field, because I will capture the sum of quantity and I will populate this input quantity. That's why that becomes my target parameter. And this is my source parameter, which is sum of quantity. Okay. Now how this will work? Run action, select, let it be select, and clearing the selection will do what it is asking. So keep current value or set value to, let's say if you want to keep it as it is. Whatever the last selection, you can keep current value. Let it be there for now. And you can always give it a meaningful name. Let's say parameter action, something like that, so that you will remember it later. Now let's say, okay, now let's say if I click on 3000, you see automatically this is getting changed, also the reference line. Now I'll select this, you see, right? Now the same thing, the color coding that we used, right? Good versus bad, you can still bring in that. You see, whatever you select, based on that it is happening. You see, it is taking those values 3, 2, 8, 9, it is taking everything. This value is 1400, it is taking 1400. See how user friendly it is now. Based on the user selection, it is happening. Now I click on this, right, 3289, and if I come out, click somewhere outside, so that is the clear selection option. That is what is clear selection is all about. Let me go there again. You see this clearing the selection, that means I'm coming out of it. Let's say I will, if clearing the selection, let me keep it to 3000. Let's see what will happen. Let's say okay. Now let's say if I click on this 597, if I click outside, it will go to 3000. It just resets it. If I go to 1500 and click outside, it goes back to the original position. So it depends. If you don't want to trouble the users, don't you always leave it at the default option. But in case there is a requirement, you can give it a default value.
Madhya? Huh? मुझे धोखे आते ना पूरे पसीना पसीना हो रहा है. अच्छा.
Okay. Any questions on this, guys? Now you can, this is something, now let's get into one more scenario. Let's say sales versus profit I'm showing, and it is a scatter plot. Let's say I want to show it by product, not on color. I'll put in details how it looks like. Let me put order ID. Okay, this is fine. Okay, so I have something like this. Okay. Now let's say using this parameter action, we can create quadrant charts. Have you seen the Gartner reports? Anybody? Gartner Magic Quadrant. So this is a company that basically comes up with which technologies are doing good, not good, all those things. They see who are the leaders like Microsoft, all those things. Who are the challengers? Who are the niche players? Who are the visionaries? Right? They do this kind of thing. Something like this: a challenger, leader, niche players, visionaries. So we can do the same kind of thing using this dynamic, mostly dynamic we can create. Of course, with a reference line, you can create a static one, but let's say based on whatever point the user selects, based on that, we can say like who are the top performing, who are the bottom performing, something like that, right? Let's see how we can do that. We have a reference line based on the user's actions or selection, or however, we can change like what are my, let's say we'll give 4 names: top right, top left, and bottom right. Okay, we'll give 4 names based on the user selection. Let's say user selects this point, so any profit or sales, so there will be a line like this, horizontal and a vertical line, and based on that we will calculate what is what. Okay, how to do that? So for that, again we need to create 2 parameters, for one for sales, one for profit. Create a parameter sales, and this time it will be a float because these values might be, let me make it blank this time and say okay, and just show parameter control, because you see these values, they might be, behind the scenes they are all floating numbers. So I kept a floating number. Similarly, I'll create one for profit. I'll just duplicate this, edit, and I call it profit, and again floating. and show parameter. Now I have two parameters. Okay. Now what I will do here is, now what are my values? Let's say I can give some default values there. Let's say I'll go to profit, edit. What are my profit? Let's say I'll give something like a 4,000. Okay. And sales, I will give something around, let's say around 14,000 or some 10, 12, whatever it is. Now let me add those reference lines. So one profit is in which axis? It's the x-axis, sorry, y-axis. Let me add reference line, and it is just profit. So that is the line. Let me make it a dotted line. Okay. Now I'll similarly add one more reference line for sales. Okay. Now there are two reference lines basically. Now this is not dynamic. This is static. Okay, now we'll make it dynamic, this reference line. Again, the same thing. I'll do worksheet actions, add action, change parameter value. And my source sheet is sheet 11 because I'm at a sheet level. So I'm using this. Otherwise, I would have used whatever dashboard you are in, you will use that. Target parameter, let's say one for profit parameter. I'll call it profit. Sum of profit, and this will happen. Let's say this time I'll click on hover. Okay, and I'll create one more, change parameter, and I'll call it sales, and my target is sales. Source is sum of sales. Let's hover, say okay. Now you see the moment I click, you see that reference line dynamically changing, right? So based on the user selection, we will now color code this sales profit, right? For each and every order ID, we will color code whether it is top right, top left, or bottom right. Okay, now let me create a calculated field and let me call it a color code. So what I will do here is, and I'll call it if, we'll write an if then statement. If my sum of sales is greater than or equal to my sales, the parameter, okay, and sum of profit is greater than or equal to profit parameter, then I will call it top right. I'll just copy this. Oops. I'll just put an else if condition here. Else if sum of sales. So now this is whatever the top right is this part. Now if I put the top left, it will be sales less than and profit more than. So I'll just change this a little bit. Less than or equal to, then I say top left. Now again, if I have to come to the bottom left, it will be everything will be less than or equal to. It will be bottom left. Similarly, for bottom right, it will be greater than sales and less than profit. Right? It will be bottom right. End. Okay. Now let's say okay. Calculation is fine. We'll put it into color code and we'll see whether everything is matching the colors or not. By looking at that, we'll come to know. Let me, if I just increase the opacity a little bit, I would come to know. Top left, yeah, it is matching. Let me put it somewhere here. Now you see bottom left, yeah, the color is matching. You see bottom left matching, bottom right, it is matching, top left is matching, top right is matching. That means my calculation is correct, and you can create all these sort of things by writing so simple parameter actions, right? You can do all these things. So these are things I'm showing you just to spark an idea, like know these things, just that you know when it will come in handy. Any questions, guys? Parameter actions. So I will give you homework on parameter actions. Let's say I have my subcategory and I have my sales here. Okay. Now the homework is basically, so I'll write it. Let the user select any subcategory and show the difference in sales. Show the okay, let the user select any subcategory. After that, you show the difference in sales for the other subcategories. Let me explain this, what I mean. So basically, let me turn on the labels. Now let's say the user selected 167380. Okay. What I want is, I want one more chart on the right hand side, and in that chart you will show me what is the difference, like accessories to machines, what is the difference, accessories to copiers, what is the difference, similarly for others. So basically 167 minus 149528 will be that difference in sales. Similarly 167 minus 189239, so that difference, okay, you will show me. So it will look like a diverging bar chart, and for this itself it will be 0, and for others it will be, there will be some value, right? So it will look like something like this, diverging. Something like this, it will look something like this. Okay, getting it? So that's what I want. Got the requirement, guys? Based on the user selection, you will show me that difference. Yes, no. Hello guys, I'm not hearing anybody. Hello guys, all are watching IPL or what?
No, sir.
Okay.
No, sir. No, sir.
Okay, so this is the homework. I want everybody to do this. All right, now we are done with parameters and parameter actions. Similarly, in the actions thing, right, there is one more value. We have covered all 5 now. Now there is one thing called change set values. Now to change set values, we first need to know what is a set. Okay, now I will get into sets. Okay. Again, very important concept. Sets are again custom fields in Tableau. The way you create calculated fields, that which is again a custom field, this is also a custom field. Sets are also custom fields, right? So how to create a set and what is set means? So you all would have seen the Venn diagrams, right? All would have seen the Venn diagrams. Let's say for simple example, I'll given. Huh? Hello. Was that to me?
No, sir.
Okay. All right. So we were okay. We're discussing what is set. So if you just go to Google, right? If you just type what is set. Okay, what is set? Okay, a lot of definitions will come up, right? In math, sets are a collection of well-defined objects. It's a collection of objects, right? Sets represented by capital, something like that. But the moment I say in Tableau, okay. So what are sets in Tableau? So if I go to some, so many things, but you should always go to Tableau's documentation. In interview, they ask you what is set and group. Okay, grouping in Tableau is grouping multiple members into groups. We have already covered groups if you remember. Sets are again like sets in the multiple values in single set, but that is always dynamic. We'll cover that. Okay. So basically it's again sort of a group collection of objects, but it would be dynamic. Let's see how we can create and how we can create static groups, how we can create dynamic groups, how it will help. Okay, it's a very important concept. Now let's say we have created a simple chart, customer name by sales by customer name, and I want to show the top 10 customers. So we have already seen like different ways how to create top 10 customers. By writing a set also, we can create the top 10 customers. Now let me go to the order of operations before that. Now you see sets are here. After context filters, before dynamic dimension filters, sets, and now we have seen that top n already, right? If you want to create a top 10 customers, you use it. So both are basically at the same level. When I say same level, at the level in Tableau at which they are getting executed, both are at the same level. Okay, now let's say if I create a set, there are different ways I can create a set. So let's say this time I want to create a static set. How to create a static? What I will do here is static set. Let's say I want to show the top 10 customers. So I'll just select the customer name that I want, and you see this, there is a Venn diagram sort of a thing coming, yes, right? So that is basically your set. The moment you click on the drop down and create set, it creates a set. Now let's say okay. Now you see the moment you create a set, this sort of icon comes up. Okay. Now this is how you know that you have created a set. All right. Now what will happen if I use this in the visualization? You see the moment I try to drag and drop, you see, can you see something like a in and out, right? In and out. So basically a set creates a in and out thing, a Boolean output again. Now the moment I put it here, you see it divides. In top n filter, what used to happen? It used to show only 10 values, and it used to remove other values, filter out other values. But in set, what happens? It gives us in and out output. It keeps the 10 customers who are meeting the criteria in the in bucket. Rest all are part of the out bucket. So far, so good. All right. Now, if you don't want to show this out, you can always put it into filter also, and you can select only in, and you can remove the out part. That is also possible. Okay. You can directly use it here, and it will show up like this, or you can bring it here. Sorry, you will see top 10 customer. But there is a problem with this. This is a static set. Let's say tomorrow some customer, some other customer made some sales, more sales than this customer, Sean Miller. It will not be part of it because this is a dynamic set. If I click on this and edit set, you see this is a dynamic set. There is no way I can include other customers. It will remain as it is, how it was created. So static sets are normally not so much used until unless you know that this list of values is not going to change ever. Okay, so this is a static set. Now let's say same thing we will create using a dynamic set. Now let me duplicate this sheet and I will remove all this. Now I'm back to the original sales by customer. Now I will create a set, a dynamic set this time. So in order to do that dynamic set, what I will do is I will go to the field on which I want to create a set. Click on the drop down, create, and there is a set option. Okay. Now click on that set. Now you see all the customer names are here, but I want a dynamic set. If I select this customer, it will become static again. So in this case, either you go to general. So general is basically static, but there are conditional or top things are available. Let's say I'll go to top. So this is similar to what you have seen in the filter, right? Top 10 filter or whatever. By field, let's say top 10 customer set by sales, sum of sales. Okay, let's say I'll say top 10 customers set. Let's say okay. Now you see it has created a set again, right? And if I use it, it will give me the similar output, but this time it is dynamic. No doubt it will be same. See, I went to the other sheet, same output because now the values are same. Okay, so it is giving the output properly. Right? So this is a dynamic set and it will change with the change in your data. Because it's dynamic in nature and this is calculated dynamically, top end set. How it is calculated? Based on the top 10 sales. Whoever made the top 10 sales will be part of the set. Whoever didn't will be part of the other set. This is a dynamic set. Similarly, you can change a bottom 10 set, bottom 5 set, anything is fine. Top, bottom, anything is fine. Just that your set always gives you this in and out sort of thing. You can also write a condition, right? If you go to the condition and you can write by formula, let's say I want to find out sales and profit both. If you remember that what we did for while using filters condition, same thing. Let's say I want to, right now it is happening based on sales, but I don't want, I want it to calculate any. So I want to create a top customer set who are mostly more than 10,000 in sales and more than 2,000 in profit. In that case, how do we do it? You will go to there. In top, you can't use multiple fields. So I will go to this condition. Okay. And you can do that. You see by formula top 10 by, you can write it here. It will show top 10. Okay. Top 10, top 5, whatever it is. So I can write the sum of sales. Sum of sales greater than or equal to 10,000. And so I can write a if then statement also, but I told you already, your Boolean calculations are faster than your if then logics. So wherever possible, opt for it. And I say sum of profit is greater than or equal to 2,000. Okay. Now you see some problem it is giving. What is the problem? If I hover over it, the formula cannot. Formula cannot be a Boolean because it is only one condition it is accepting. Let's say if I say just remove this, still it will give me a problem. It cannot be a Boolean formula. So I can only say, you see this is learning. I can say top 10 by sum of sales. Oh, okay. No, you cannot write this. But in case you have to use multiple fields, right? This will not work. You have to go to condition and I will type that other thing here. I'll write sum of sales is greater than or equal to 10,000 and sum of profit is greater than or equal to 2,000. Here it is working, but that was a top condition, so it will not work. It will only work on one field. Here it will work on multiple fields. You can input multiple fields. Okay, it expects a Boolean output because set by nature is a Boolean output, in and out, right? So the output should also be a Boolean output, true or false. Here we are using true or false. Okay, now if I say okay, now this will change. Now you see it is working fine. Now you see any sales that is more than 10,000 and profit more than 2,000 are only part of that set. Even though the sales is more than 10,000 here, but the profit is less than 2,000. That's why it is not part of my set. So this is how the dynamic sets you can create. Any questions, guys? Okay. All right. Now let's say one more scenario in interview. They normally ask, how can you show top 10 or say top 5 customers and bottom 5 customers in one set? Top 5 customers and bottom 5 customers in one sheet. Normally people will do like this, like customer name they will put and sales they will put, and then what they will do is they'll go here and the customer name and they will do a top. They will go here and they'll select okay, I'll say 5 and now this is fine. Now interview will ask you, how can I bring in bottom 5 also? But in a top filter, we cannot use top and bottom both. It can be either top or bottom. But what we can do here is we can create a set again. Okay. Now we have already created, let's say, a top 5. Let me create one more set for top 5. I'll call it top 5 set. And top field, I'll make it 5. Okay. Now that is fine. Top 5 set. Okay. Now I'll create a one more set, bottom 5. Duplicate, edit, and I'll say bottom 5 set. Okay, and I'll change it to bottom and say okay. Now I've created both the sets. Now I just need to bring them together. How will I do it? Let's say I'll do again, just go to any of the sets, go to this, click on the drop down, and you will get this option, create combined set. Okay. Now I'll call it top 5 and bottom 5. Now you see top 5 already coming because I clicked on it and I'm creating this combined set. Now I just need to select the bottom 5 set. Now you see this might be familiar for you already, right? What is the first one?
Full join.
Second one?
Yep.
Third one?
Left null.
Yeah, this is left null, this is right null.
Right
Okay.
null.
Yeah, so right now I need all the members. Okay, all the members in both the sets, basically top 5 and bottom 5. Shared member, what will happen if I click this, guys? Who can guess?
Common from the both.
Common from the both.
Yeah, common from both of them.
Now let's say I'll bring it here. I don't see that in, right? It's only out. Can anyone guess why this is happening? It's a logical thing. I mean, nothing technical. Now let me select this all members and apply. I will see that in. You see that in is here. Everything is fine. I can show the level, so I can see top and bottom in one sheet. Just the matter, I need to use it in the filter. But when I select this shared members, why I'm not seeing anything in the in? Any guess? Any wild guess?
Nothing is common between in and out.
Yeah. Why nothing is common?
We have provided a condition, I guess.
Inner join condition.
Sorry.
Values are not matching.
We have provided the condition for that in.
We have provided the condition, but I just want to hear that line. I mean, see, I mean, simple thing, right? We have provided one top 5 and bottom 5. Can you tell me that one customer at the same time can be both top and bottom?
No.
No, right? That's a simple reason. That's why we are not getting anything. There are no shared members because one customer cannot be in top and can be in top and can be in bottom at the same time. That's the reason. Okay. Now you can just put this into this filter and you will show top and bottom both in one sheet. Okay, by creating a combined set. Okay. All right. Okay. I will show an example of sets later. Okay. A real-time application that I have built. I'll show you, but after tomorrow's class. So now what we have done a little bit of sets, you got a little bit of understanding what sets is doing. Just similar to your, it's a custom field, but it is mostly a dynamic one. Conditional. Sets are conditional. It's a custom field again. It will change based on the change in value, But groups in interview, they will always ask you what is the difference between a set and a group. Groups are static. Once you are created, it will remain as it is. If any new value comes, it will not be part of that group unless you manually do it. Sets are mostly dynamic. 99% they are dynamic. Any change in value, they will change based on that value. So you can have static also, but that is not. I mean, I've never used a static set in my life. It's always dynamic set. Okay. Now let's see. We will get into a little more detail. Now, how this in the action there is something called change set values. How this works? So similar to parameter, but let's see how it works. Let's say I will create a simple chart. I'll again use region sales. Let me make it an entire view, and I am using a by region sales. All right, now let me put something like this. Category and subcategory and sales, and let me make it an entire view. Now let me create a dashboard by cat and sub. Let me create a simple dashboard and let me make it like this. Let me make it tiled. Okay, now let me hide labels. Okay, that is fine. Let me just turn on this. I don't want to show, I just need some more space here. So I'm just removing this. Okay, I'll just. All right, now let me make some changes here. Now I have a simple dashboard. Okay, category, by category, subcategory, and by region sales. Now user says, okay, now this is a real-time scenario. User says they want to see how much each of these subcategories are contributing to regional sales. Okay, in terms of percentage. Okay, now this is value is 114880. If they click on this, they want to see what is the share of bookcases in central, in east, in south, and in west. So they want to split this, each of the central bars, they want to split by its percentage share. Okay, now let's say if you consider central is 100%, how much 114880 has contributed to central, east, south, and west? Something like that I want to show. So let me do one thing. I'll come here and make it a percent of total, and I will, now you see it's all percent of total, but I want to show it in 100% compute using table across, so that each of them are 100%. Now I'll turn on the labels. Okay, probably I'll do formatting a little bit, and I'll not show any decimals. And I'll alignment in the middle, let's say. That's fine. Let's say I'll make it bold. Okay, something like that. Okay, that's fine. All right. Now when the user when the user selects this, let's say bookcases, they want to see what is the percentage of split bookcases is having in the central region. Out of 100%, what it is its share. Is the requirement clear? Basically, I want to stack it up. I want to create a stack bar which will show its share out of 100%. Let's say 10% will be bookcases and 90% will be rest all the subcategories. Because all these are contributing, think that 100%. I just want to see like each and every individual subcategory, how much they are contributing. Is the requirement clear, guys?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now let's say for this, it will not work with a parameter, because we need to capture what the user has selected in terms of the field itself. Okay, the value sub bookcases. Again, you can think like you can do it by a parameter, but I'll show you how it is not possible and how we can easily achieve by sets. Now let's say I will create a set on the subcategory. Okay, now I'll go to the sheet, and any sheet you can go. So this is my subcategory field. Right click, create set. Okay, now this is my subcategory set, and let's say I will not select anything. If you select, that becomes the part of your set, those values. But I will create a blank set. Okay, a blank set, a set without any values. Now I created a set, subcategory set. Where it is now, you see the subcat. This is the set I created, and it is a blank. Now let me just put it into color. You see out. That means nothing is part of my set. There is nothing inside the set, right? Set gives me two outputs, in and out, if you remember, right? Now there is nothing part of the set. That's why it is out. Let me just change that set a little bit. Edit set and just select accessories and say okay. Now you see one thing is part of the set. Now that is part of in. Now you understanding how it is working? Now for in, probably I'll choose a color, and for out, let's gray. And probably I'll just change the order a little bit so that it will come up in the beginning. And now earlier it was a blank set. So when I use that set in color, I didn't say any output in bucket. Now the moment I selected a value, now it has shown that in. Now let me remove it and say okay. Now it will go back to the original position without any value, and the value is 100%. Now how to do that in dashboard? Now what I will do here is I'll create a set action. Go to dashboard, actions, add action. Now change set values. Now in change set values, it will again the same sort of a dialog box. My source sheet is my category and subcategory, the top one. My target set is so basically it will ask you first select the data source, and in that which is the set, subcat set, right? I recently created. So that is my target set, and running the action will, there are a few values. Let's see what are those. Assign values to set, add values to set, remove values from set, clearing the selection will, add values to set, or something like that. So I need to set it up a little bit, and this will happen on select. Let's say running this action will add values to set, and clearing the selection will remove all values from set. Let's say this is the setup I have done. Let's see what happens. Say okay. Now let's say if I select this, now you can see bookcases is contributing 5% to all my central sales. Now let's say I'll select chase. You see now what is happening. It is now, let's say initially I selected bookcases. Now I selected chase. Now what is happening? Let's go back to that set and see what is actually happening with that set. Okay, so I'll go to that set and edit set. Now you would see bookcases and chase both are part of it. Initially I selected what? Bookcases. Then I selected chase, right? But this is happening because the way we have set it up. Now if I go back again, dashboard, actions, edit. Now you see I have selected add values to set. So what will happen in this add values to set? Once you select something and then you select one more value, it will keep on adding to the existing value of list, as the existing value of sets. But if you just select assign values to set, now this will work little differently. Let's see that how that different. Let's say I'll clear the set. Clear means basically when you select outside, it is clearing the selection. Let's say I'll select bookcases 5%. Now chase 17%. Earlier it was. Now let us go back and see that set. What is happening? I select the same way. First bookcases, then chase. Now let's see. You see only chase is selected. Okay, so you need to know what you're doing while setting it up. Okay, while setting it up, you need to know what exactly you're doing. Based on that, the behavior will change. So assign values to set, what will happen? Once you select each and every item, they will add it separately. Individually, they will get added. But if you do add values to set, it will keep the existing one, plus it will add the new one. So that is the difference. So go ahead with the assign value set, which is the default one, and say okay, and say okay. Now, if I click on outside, it will clear up. Now, if I click this 5%, now let's say if I want to add multiple, user can select control on their keyboard where they can select multiple things. You see, I can click on multiple things and I can see what is the proportion it is contributing in each region. This is called proportional brushing. Set actions, but this is known as proportional brushing. Okay, I'll call it proportional brushing. In an interview, they will ask you what is proportional brushing. So just keep some use cases handy. It's called proportional brushing. If I click outside, everything will get clear. Now I'm using the subcategory again, right? Let's say I'll use something similar again. Let's say I will use sales and profit both. Okay. And I will use subcategory in the detail. So I will see the distribution for each subcategory by sales and profit. And let me make it a circle. And I've used that subcategory set, right? Now I will use that subcategory set into color. Okay. Now everything is out. That's fine because there is nothing part of the set. Now also I will use the subcategory set into size. Now, if anything, now let's say I'll go to the dashboard and I'll bring that sheet, that new sheet that I've used. Now I'll just bring it out. Now, now if I select, you see something is happening already, right? Automatically. Now, but what I want to do here is the one that I select that should get highlighted, the other should not get highlighted. So if I go to this and I will just need to reverse this sizing option, let me edit size, and I'll just change it to reverse. And I will just say largest will be like this, smallest I'll make it little bigger so that at least I will be able to see them and say, okay, now you see it is showing up like this. Now you go to the dashboard. Now it will show like this. Now it is so intuitive for the user. They can select multiple items and they can see what is their contribution in each region. Alongside, they can also see from a sales and profit standpoint where they actually stand, whether we need to take any action or not. In this case, right, in table subcategory, there is very good sales, but profit is in negative. Probability they need to look into that, why it is happening, right? Let's say, what is this? This is tables, right? Now, if I click on tables here, I would see what is happening. In each region, we are getting sales. There is contribution, but something is not right. If I click on phones, maybe that would be the highest in terms of sales and profit, and each and every region, it has a decent amount of contribution. Whatever I did here, right, in this right-hand side, this is called encoding. This is called encoding. These are some terminologies you may know, you need to know. Okay, this is called encoding. Okay, any questions, guys? Very useful things you will use, mostly you will use in your dashboards to make it more interactive, more user friendly, how it conveys the information, right? Really good. Any questions, guys?
No, sir.
All right. Okay. Now I have spoken to Lohit and he told me that that hyperfile is already present in the LMS. Maybe you guys didn't check that. It was uploaded the same day. Okay.
Yeah, on day 6 folder.
It was. So please try to replicate that. Now I'm going to give you one more data set today. Okay. I will give you more data set, but I don't see it from everybody. So I'm not giving, but yeah, let me give it. Otherwise, one second. All right. And this will be a good one. Not energy use. Okay, now let's see this data set. Okay, so I have a data set called Steph Curry's Stadium Popcorn Rating. If you don't know who is Stephen Curry, he is a basketball player. Okay, and so he has collected some data. So in whichever arena he has played, he has tried to rate the popcorns. Okay, and the rating of the popcorn based on certain parameters. And what are those parameters? I'll just give you a little bit background on that data, so you will create your visualizations on top of it. This is a data set. Okay. Now this is against which team he has played, and this is where the tournament took place. Okay. So I don't know, there are 18 or 20, something like that. So there are 29 places, and he has given the ratings, the popcorns based on freshness, saltiness, crunchiness, butter, presentation, total score. This is a total score. Out of 5, in each of these parameter, how much the popcorns are rated for each of these arenas. Okay, now this is the data set, and you need to visualize it. Normally, the smallest data sets are the most difficult ones to visualize. Okay, so now I'll share this data set. I will not show whatever I have done this time. You will come up with your own visualizations, and we'll see in the next class, which is tomorrow. Please do this. Okay, I will share this data set. Now there are some problems here. Figure out how when you connect to Tableau, how to remove this in Tableau. Don't remove in Excel by doing Control Delete. Don't do it here. Do it in Tableau, so you will learn a new thing. All right. So I'll give you this data set. Please do it for tomorrow. Any questions?
Sir, can we get a documented syllabus for the Tableau?
I'll share it.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Any other questions, guys? Anything you can ask. All right, then thank you so much, guys. We'll meet tomorrow. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, sir.